Let's talk about soybean pre-emerge herbicides, Darren.
That's what I'm hearing from so many guys. They say, you know, I haven't used one for a few years, but all of a sudden I'm having a tough time controlling the broadleaf weeds in my soybean crop.
Well, it's funny because we were just talking to some guys this morning here that said, well, all we've sprayed the last few years is either 1 shot or 2 shots of Roundup, nothing else on our soybeans. But we're starting to get a little concerned because everybody else is having problems. We haven't had so much trouble yet, but I think we're going to use a pre-emerge herbicide. So let's talk about why you want to use a pre-emerge herbicide, and then we can start getting into some of the different products.
Well, okay, number one, why do you want to use a soybean pre? Return on investment is fantastic. You look at the yield trials for the last 2 decades from universities all across our country. They do trials with and without pre-emerge herbicides. They evaluate it right down to the 1/10 of a bushel. It's dramatically better all the time.
How much?
Well, a lot of these pre's only cost $5, and they're getting 2, 3, 4, 5 bushels more soybeans.
4 bushels. 4 bushels is about the average return, and the average cost now is $5 to $10 an acre.
So even if you take half of that gain and only say 2 bushels better, well, that's tremendous. At better than $10 soybeans right now, that's going to be $20 or $25 return on a $5 investment. I mean, where else in the world can you find an investment like that?
Now, how are you going to get to this $5 thing, Darren? Because Valor is one of the most popular pre's. That's going to cost $7 or $8. A lot of these products cost $7 or $8. How are you getting down to the 5?
Well, you mentioned Valor, and that's really the easiest one, Brian, because there's a $3 an acre rebate on that if you're using name brand Roundup. So it may cost $7 to start with, but if you get $3 back, it's only going to net out at $4 cost. It's pretty inexpensive.
Okay, so which products should I use specifically? We talked about Valor. Why would I want to use Valor, and what other products could I use?
All right, well, we're mainly concerned with the broadleaf weeds in a broadleaf crop, but don't forget there are other weeds like grasses too. Let's just talk about the broadleaf weeds first though. You've really got a few different choices. You can use Valor, you can use Authority, you can use Sencor, or you could use the new Sharpen. Now, depending on which exact weeds you're going after and what your crop rotation is, that's going to determine which product to use. The thing about Valor that I like, it has a short rotational window to just about every crop. It's safe to use in quite a number of crops, including corn. And you think about it, well, what happens if something happens to my soybeans? Hey, I can come back in and plant other things after I use Valor. It does a nice job controlling just about all the broadleaf weeds that are now being found resistant to Roundup. Now, when you look at Authority, that's a great product too. It controls a lot of the same weeds as Valor.
But you can't use that by itself. So it only comes in premixes. So which one of the premixes do you like? Do you like the Authority Assist, the Authority First, the Authority XL? How do you pick the right one?
Well, it depends on which weeds you have again. Now, like Authority First, for example, is great for the no-till guys because it does such a nice job on mare's tail control, which is one that's going to be really tough to kill with Roundup just about anywhere across the country now. The Authority Assist is a nice product because it has pursuit in there. I really like it on our farm when we have wild buckwheat. It does a nice job controlling wild buckwheat, but also if you've got broadleaf weeds like velvetleaf, sunflowers, you know, weeds that normally we say we've got to use a post-emerge product to get those, that Authority Assist with the pursuit in there does a nice job. You could use Authority MTZ that's got the metribuzin in with Authority. There's a lot of different mixes you could use.
With the Kixor or Sharpen, the reason why I don't like that necessarily is you can't put enough on to have quite a bit of residual. It's fine for a burn down product, don't get me wrong. The Kixor is great for burn down, and it's great in many other crops because you can use higher rates. But in soybeans, you're limited to 1 ounce of Sharpen. That's all you can put on pre-emerge. Otherwise, you could potentially have some injury with soybeans.
Well, you have to keep this in mind. When you're spraying a burn down in soybeans, it's typically a little bit cooler than it will be later on in the summer, and you do need something fairly hot to do a good job burn down. If you've only got 1 ounce of Sharpen in there on a Roundup resistant mare's tail weed that's been growing all winter, has some big size to it, we just didn't feel satisfied with the control with 1 ounce of Sharpen on mare's tail. We needed a little more. You could throw another kicker in there. You could add in some Sencor or something like that, but you have to be cautious what you do mix with Sharpen. You can't mix Valor or Authority with it. So you have to be a little bit creative, and by all means, do not use any 2,4-D in the mix. A lot of guys say, well, I'll just throw some 2,4-D in there. You could possibly ding your beans or even kill those soybeans a couple of weeks later when you plant them. So you don't want to use 2,4-D in that system. Use something else.
Okay, you know what I think we need to do here is I'm just going to go through a list of Roundup tolerant or even Roundup resistant weeds, and you tell me what the best pre is. Not
Sounds
3,
fun.
4 products. You just give me one.
It's
okay?
like the Wonderlick test here. I like it.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Mare's tail.
Well, I like the Authority First.
Waterhemp or Palmer pigweed. I still think they're the same weed, but we'll say they're different weeds. Either one, same product.
I like just straight Valor. Works great for me.
Common ragweed.
Well, Authority First is the best on that.
Giant ragweed.
I like Authority First again.
Lambsquarters.
Lambsquarters, either Valor or Authority Assist.
Can't pick two. Which one?
Valor.
Wild buckwheat.
Authority Assist.
Morningglory.
Good question. I would say Valor.
Okay, Velvetleaf.
Well, Authority Assist is the best.
Better than Python?
You could use Python as well. Optil. I like products that have Pursuit in there, one of those ALS products, so Python would work. Otherwise, Authority Assist or Optil.
Okay, and kochia.
Kochia's tough. None of these are great by themselves. So if I had kochia, I'd probably use a combination. I'd use Treflan plus one of these guys.
Yep, I'd probably use one of the Authority products in there. Okay, so how about Barnyardgrass? There have been a few cases where Barnyardgrass has been found resistant to Roundup. What would you use for Barnyardgrass? One product.
Sonalan.
Yep, I agree. Okay. Well, most of them I think you did okay on, Darren. So
well, you know, we don't have a
disagree.
lot of Morningglory up here, so there may be some better combinations for Morningglory. We don't really fight that one on our
Yeah,
farm.
but Morningglory is fairly similar to wild buckwheat, and that's why if it was me, I'd probably go with the Authority Assist. But with all these weeds, we've got some post-emerge products to kill them. Here's the problem. We don't have one product like Roundup that will kill all those weeds. So you have to do a good job with the pre, so then you can be selective what you use post. Otherwise, you have to mix 8 different things together to kill 8 different weeds post-emerge.
Here's the other thing, and you're saying name one pre-emerge herbicide.
Yep.
I like to use 2, personally. I like to use a Treflan or a Prowl or a Sonalan in addition to a Valor or one of the Authority products or Sencor, and that's where you really get good control, because we forget about how good a job something like Treflan, Sonalan, Prowl can do on a lot of these broadleaf weeds as well.
Yep, I agree. Well, we'll find out how they'll all do on our Weed of the Week coming up later in the show.